Okay, we are live.
Hey guys.
Hey everyone. We're listening to some fun music tonight. Like it?
Jamming.
Are you feeling it? We have other options, however. What do you think? Will we try something?
It's good.
This is good. Okay. No, we do have
Good
others.
show on the road.
Okay, we have to get this on the road because we've got some options. Okay, ready? One. Okay. You like this one better? No. Okay. So we're liking the other one better. Okay, I hear you though. You're saying that this one sounds a little bit Christmassy. Yeah. Okay. All right. So tell everyone what you just did, like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, got some clients under contract.
Yeah.
No big deal.
No big deal.
I do it every day. No, just kidding.
No, literally, as we're like pulling this on board, he's like getting a client under contract in far north, right? Van Alstyne, is that right?
Van
That's
Alstyne,
the one?
yeah.
Van Alstyne, did
Almost
I say that
Oklahoma.
right? Yeah, almost Oklahoma. He just got one under contract, so that was pretty cool.
It's a cool, neat little town.
Yeah. All right, you guys, I am adjusting a few things here.
They have nice land up there. They got 8 inches of snow up there when everybody else just got rain and ice.
Yeah. Like,
well, it depends on where you're at. So everybody else. We only got rain and ice.
Yeah, like we got a dusting. I took the grandkids out.
We got rain and ice. That's all we got.
No, we got our sleds out, and I took the grandkids out and tried to sled down the hill in our yard. It just did not go very well. Like one time down, and they were like, "Well, this is disappointing." Okay, let's see. So, hello. It's nice to see you both. It's nice to see you too.
And it's nice to be seen.
It's nice to be seen. That makes more sense because we can't see you. And look who else says hello, Humpty Dumpty. Hello.
Don't fall.
So literally, like we were told we were going to get this nice, big snow event, and we got nothing. We really did. And then, and I got it. Okay, just for fun, you guys, I have to show you this because if you're relocating to Dallas, I want to tell you this. Okay, this is what you can expect with Texas weather. Okay, you ready? Can you guys see that? Okay. All right. It is, meant to be. Let me see if I can scroll in on this. This is where we are right now. Thursday, high of 61. Okay, it was beautiful out. Like I took the pups for a walk, just really enjoyed. I was working outside a little bit, sitting outside. Okay. So now next week, literally, okay, we're just talking like next week. Oh, let me say hello here. Okay.
Sherman, you guys probably, Veronica, you guys probably got some snow.
Yeah, spill it, because you probably got more snow than Van Alstyne did. Yeah, I bet, because you said what they got 8-9 inches, something like that. Hello. And Unbreakable says hello. Well, hello. Okay.
Anyway,
I have to show you
key
this.
Is it's going to go up and down.
Okay, yeah, to steal my thunder. That's nice. Isn't that great how he just steals my thunder? Okay, here is the high. Okay, this is the high next Tuesday. Okay, the high. Okay, you guys look. Okay, can you guys see that? Next Tuesday, the high is 26. Okay, that to me is just offensive. It's like, what the heck, man? This is Dallas. But this is pretty common actually here. I don't even know why we're talking about the weather so much, but I just looked at that and I was not amused because this is Dallas. It's not supposed to get that cold.
My clients were asking about the weather today too. So they're asking more because they wanted to know how much they were going to have to mow the grass. So, but
yeah. Well, you don't have to anymore. Okay, so let's see. Veronica said, greetings. She's the one from Sherman. She said they got snow. Okay, we got nothing. Honestly, it was a little disappointing. I feel like if it's going to be cold, I want snow.
That's better kind of rains.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, let's see here now. Possum Smiles, 11 inches of snow.
Wow.
Okay, where are you at? Oh my goodness. Then an inch of ice followed by 4 more inches of snow. Get me out of here.
Wow.
We got nothing, just a lot of rain. And then just like this little bitty dusting of snow. It was disappointing. So I'm honestly not going to lie. I'm kind of jealous of all of you guys that got to see snow. There's just something when you have grandkids. I don't know. It's just better.
Snow is good if you travel to it.
Yeah. Kentucky.
Oh,
okay. Wow. So quite a ways away. Okay, so guys, we are talking today about interest rates. Okay, let's just see what. Everybody's got some good news about snow. We had some snow, but not enough to make a snowman. We had barely. Okay, the only snow,
We didn't
the
really
only,
have, it was sleet.
like, no, like we couldn't make a snowman and we could only make a snowball if we like took it off of Blake's car. Like that was the bit, like off of a car overnight. That was the only way you could make a snowball. And so our grandkids came, they live next door. And so our grandkids came over and they're all excited and they're all bundled up and they're like, let's make a snowman. And then we look around and we're like, yeah, it's
Right.
like, this is not happening. Okay, well, today we are talking about interest rates, okay, because they are on a roller coaster.
Yeehaw.
They really are. In fact, I read an article and when I saw it, I was like, this would make great for us to talk about, right? And that was literally, oh goodness, let me see, open it up here. What date is that on there? Okay, January 10th. Okay, so I am only, what is today? The 15th.
Not quite a week ago.
That's not even a week old. Okay, this is not even a week old. And then guess what happened today? Yeah.
Well, CPI came out lower, so rates came down a little bit. The bond investors were like,
yeah, and so,
but they're still not completely. I think rates are going to go up again. So
they were, what's interesting is I just finished a video today talking about, I just recorded it, so it'll come out in a week or two, about the volatility of rates and how to take advantage of that and how smart buyers know to, watch for that. And that's exactly what's happening. They're just so volatile. So this article was, it's 5 days old. Okay. This is mortgage rates soar following strong jobs report. The employment data is good news for workers, but it means the Federal Reserve is unlikely to cut rates later this month, keeping borrowing costs elevated. And now, then today, sorry, I'll get back to the article, but today, what was it, the CPI?
Mm-hmm.
CPI came in low. And so now I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're going to say now. Because in this article, they're like, yeah, the rates aren't going to go down. So interesting there. Okay, let me continue with the article here. Okay. Keeping borrowing costs elevated. The jobs report released today was good news for Americans and the overall economy, but it could dash hopes for lower mortgage rates. The U.S. economy added 256,000 non-farm jobs in December, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, far surpassing expectations of 153,000 new jobs for the month. The unemployment rate fell slightly to 4.1%, and even long-term joblessness, those out of work for more than 6 months, fell to 1.6 million after rising in recent months. All right. Wages rose 0.3% in December compared to the month before and 3.9% year over year. Those figures were generally in line with expectations, keeping that aspect of inflation under control for now. Okay, I want to hit the pause button for a minute because when this came out, okay, when the article came out on the very same day, we got an update from our preferred lender, which I thought was really good. And immediately I emailed him back and I was like, okay, where did you get this information from? So I want to show you this, like pause button on that article, but look at this. I thought this was really interesting. Let me see if I can show it to you guys. Okay, here we go. And this is from him. And he sends out rate updates anytime, you get like,
it's pretty much weekly.
Yeah. On the employment front, the latest, and remember, this is at the same time, the latest BLS jobs report indicates a strong labor market with the unemployment rate dropping from 4.2 to 4.1. Okay, we just read that. But here comes the interesting part. However, consumer sentiment paints a different picture. According to the University of Michigan's survey of consumer expectations, the percentage of respondents who anticipate rising unemployment in the year ahead has jumped significantly from 32% in November to 50% in January.
They're expecting more unemployment?
They're expecting unemployment to go up.
Wow.
This level of expectation of unemployment going up was last absorbed in April of 2020. Okay, so 50% of the population expect unemployment to go up. I mean, to me, that's like, yeah, that's just, and I just wonder how many people know. And I was like, okay, what would make people think that? Well, people that know people that have gotten laid off, probably.
A little bit, or they don't think the economy is going to get any better and that the companies are going to spend. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. I just thought that was really interesting. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not really like a a vote in favor of the new administration. I guess they're like,
Maybe not.
yeah, unemployment's going to go up. Let's see here. Okay.
I think we're getting different opinions, though. Depends on where you look. So
Yeah. Given these contrasting signals, now this really interests me. It's possible that the recent jobs data could be subject to significant revisions in the upcoming months, as we've often seen. Okay, as we've often seen.
And the jobs report is a little bit in the rears, and it's kind of a after effect as well. Just like most governmental reports are all kind of a little bit behind. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think was it like October or something? There was just this massive revision that showed the notes were way skewed. So I know I've kind of started feeling like that, like it's not even remotely accurate, the job numbers. I'm like, you guys, you put one out there and then you come back and you revise it with these huge amounts. So yeah, so I thought that was interesting that on the one hand, the market is really reacting to this jobs report, but then, so the market is reacting to it, but then you've got, consumer sentiment saying something completely different. So I think that's interesting. Okay. Back now to the other article. All right. Markets and rates reacted quickly. They reacted quickly today too, didn't they?
Yeah.
After the jobs report was released, investors responded almost immediately. By midday Friday, the stock market had posted a 600-point drop. And the 30-year fixed rate jumped. Okay, here's the painful part, to 7.24%, according to Mortgage News Daily. That put rates at the highest level in more than a year. Okay, that's pretty compelling because I don't know. I think people don't really realize how much that affects buying power.
Yeah.
I was working on a video today where I was comparing what people were getting in October when rates were lower to what they're getting right now. And basically people were able to get 5.5 in October when we had that kind of pocket dip and everybody was predicting rates were going to go down. 5.5 compared to 7.25. And what are we talking 3 months later? I mean, that's crazy. You talk about our market being volatile. I mean, that is insane. I did the math and it is a difference in buying power of $70,000. That level of interest rate. Okay. So
that's an amount of money.
Yeah. So at 7.25%, somebody can afford a $350,000 house. At 5.5%, they can afford like a $420,000 house. I mean, to me, that's just crazy. And that's what our market is doing. The unaffordability of these high interest rates. I mean, it's really suffocating, I think. And now I say that, and I know exactly what you're thinking. I know. Okay, go ahead and say it. You're going to talk about how these really aren't that high. That's what you always say.
Depends on how you depends. It's all about perspective. So, I mean, it depends on where you look. So, and our rates are still over the decades are still much lower than they have been. So for a lot of what it does do, though, it also still keeps it more of a buyer's market. It definitely keeps it from being a seller's market. So it does that. So
yeah, and that's one thing I talked about in the video too. I was talking about how when you see sustained low prices, like even if we had parked at 5.5 and stayed there, prices would have gone way up. I mean, we were already seeing it. Like we started seeing prices go up. Yeah. And it's because think about that $70,000 at that price point. Okay. So it's like people, you really have to respect the power of interest rates. Okay. Okay. So Possum Smiles, how will this affect cash buyers? I mean, that's an excellent question.
Actually, for cash buyers, if it's not a seller's market, leaning more towards a buyer's market, then that's a good thing.
If you think about how many people were just eliminated from the market that were in the market in October. Okay. So in October, they could afford, a $420,000 house. Now they can't. Okay. And so you're just narrowing down the pool of qualified buyers every time these interest rates go up.
And the homes are on the market longer. If people are still trying to sell, we'll see. I mean, but we'll probably get more people trying to sell coming soon. So actually, it's been going up. I'm seeing more and more. So
that's typically how it plays out as we see more inventory coming on. Right now it's down, but typically. Okay. Did we even answer the question? How will this affect the cash buyers?
We did, yeah.
You're going to have a much more aggressive negotiating position. Now, I will say this, okay? With new construction, a cash buyer has very nil effect on a new build. They don't care, okay? Because they're not going to see that cash for 8 to 10 months. All right. So being a cash buyer and wanting a new build, so I don't know like what you're, looking at there. Being a cash buyer with a quick move-in inventory home, this is a tough one because what the builders want to do is they want to give you incentives to lower your rate. They want to give you cash towards closing because otherwise they drive appraisal values down. So if you go in there and of course them giving you cash towards closing it's kind of meaningless. Your closing costs aren't that much when there's no loan involved. You really don't have that much. And so it works. It probably works a little better with a pre-owned home because with new construction, again, they got to be careful. They're like, we don't want to allow, because one house affects appraisal values, right? And so if they're like, oh, you have cash, are they going to come down 50 grand? Probably not, right? Because that affects all of these cascading houses after them. All right. First question of the night. How is Highland Lake Community in McKinney?
How is it?
It's
always, to me, I've always thought Highland Lake was, so I've had several clients look at Highland Lake, but they have never budged in price. And I've always thought they were a little bit higher priced especially for what you get in that community. I mean, there's some nice homes, Pulte, Taylor Morrison, and stuff, but yeah,
so they just don't budge on price very well.
So far from what I've seen. I mean, and you're just right around the corner from Painted Tree. Depends on what you want. If you want to be in, in the city in McKinney, or do you want to in Painted Tree, or do you want to be just outside of it in Highland Lake? Much smaller community. And
schools make such a difference too.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back.
That's probably what it is. It's the school thing.
Yeah. It really does. It really does. Okay. Okay. Another comment. What is the best city? Oh, wow. That is a loaded question, Janie. What is the best city to buy now within Dallas-Fort Worth? Man, that's a loaded one. I would need to see a lot more criteria.
Yeah.
Well, and I would need to know it's more like, what is the best city for you? Okay. Because everybody's criteria are going to be different. And so, do schools matter? Does city life versus suburb matter? Does location matter? Are you remote?
Do you want to buy stuff?
Yeah. And I will say, that's something we talk about a lot whenever we meet new buyers. I always meet them with the Google Meet one. And that's the first thing we talk about. We're always talking about the strategy behind it. What's their best timeline, their geography. So that's kind of something more we could cover in a Google Meet, right? After you fill out the questionnaire, where we can, again, because we got to figure out what is the best city for you, because it's going to be different for everyone. Okay. Rate is not the problem. Prices need to decline.
That's mostly true, really.
It's just that rates are so much more impactful.
I will tell you this: the increase in prices has slowed down, but I don't think they're going to come down. I don't think you're going to see a negative on the prices. So.
It's, somebody said to me the other day, I can't remember who it was, we were talking and they said, you know what, the whole prices going up 2020 to 2022. They use the expression, the damage is done.
Yeah.
And I was like, it is damage. We didn't like the rate. The prices should not have gone up that fast. What was it? 44%. That wasn't healthy, but the damage is done. And it's we're not, and I agree with you. It would be great. However, I'm not sure I agree that between rate and prices, because rate is just so much more of a sharp tool.
Here, but yeah.
For example, 5.5 to 7.25, right? Prices would have had, for the equivalent, prices would have had to drop by 70,000, right? Okay. So what's more likely, that rates are going to go down, by 5.5 to 7.25, or that prices will drop by 70,000. So that's the problem, is that the interest rate manipulation is so much more effective. It really is. Okay. Let's get back to our article here. Okay, so the stock market, 600-point drop, and the 30-year fixed rate. Okay, we read that. While the Fed may have downplayed the role of the labor market in guiding the rate outlook at the last meeting, the jobs report will always matter to the bond market. said Matthew Graham,
Yeah.
Chief Operating Officer for Mortgage News Daily, in an online post. What's ahead for rates? In light of the stronger than expected employment report, the Federal Reserve will most likely pause rate cuts during its next meeting at the end of the month. After that, the Fed doesn't meet until mid-March. So the current short-term interest rate of 4.25% to 4.5% could remain in place heading into the spring home buying season. As of mid-December, the Fed was only listen to this, that the Fed was only forecasting 2 rate cuts in 2025. And the latest jobs data has some analysts speculating that rate hikes could now be possible this year. Whoa,
that doesn't
rate
mean
hikes,
that
guys.
mortgage rates will not
That's
necessarily
true.
come down.
Yeah, I mean that is
or
true.
go up. That's what I meant. That's what the more long-term rates do not follow the
Fed's movement.
The Fed's rates.
Yeah.
And what causes, and the main thing that's causing this stuff is fear of inflation, and that's what, and it's the bond investors that look at that. They're still thinking, well, we're going to have inflation, so they're buying more bonds and stuff. So those rates are going up. So that's what's causing the long-term rates going up. So, and what causes the inflation is more what they call M2 money, which is that's the money that the bank lends. And right now the bankers are not lending as much as they have been. So
that's interesting.
So we don't have a ton of new money coming into the market right now or into the economy.
That's interesting. So the quantitative tightening, right? That's what the Fed calls it, quantitative.
Yeah.
In fact, I was talking to our preferred lender the other day and I was asking him about rate locks. And he said, yeah, you can lock them before you find a house, but a lot less investors will commit to that.
Right.
That makes sense for what you're saying.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
And I mean, there's other things that affect it. I mean, other types of prices and stuff like oil prices and things like that. But in general, it's mostly the money that's coming from the banks. So.
Interesting. Let's see here. Janie says, are you saying that prices will not go down? Or if it does, how much is it going to go down by?
If it goes down, it's going to be a location thing. And it's going to be a low demand area.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen
oversupplied. Also.
I've seen a few builders at the end of the year lower some base prices. But most of them are talking about, okay, in January we're raising we're raising prices. So in general, it's more that the price increase has slowed down, but overall we're not going to see a negative in median sales prices.
Maybe.
Really.
Are you talking year over year or seasonally? Because seasonally, we definitely see them go down.
More year over year.
Year over year. Yeah. And I think we've seen
But it's even the decrease is a little bit lower seasonally in some cases. So,
I mean, think about, if you think about it on a very simplistic level, okay, in October, 5.5%, right, is what buyers were able to get. Now we're in January and it's like 7.25% or a little bit lower today. And has it caused, prices to drop? And I realize and definitely acknowledge that it doesn't happen like, that fast. But still, it would have to be like 70,000 to match buying power to buying power, right? From 5.5 to 7.25. So I think right now, I'll tell you what I do expect is, and I don't have this in front of me, but we saw prices trough out in September this year. Okay, now usually we don't see that. We usually see like a steady decline and they hit their trough in January. Okay, they hit it in September this year and then they started going up. And that's very unusual. And so I kind of think that January, February, I think we may even have a later trough than we usually do. Like I wouldn't be surprised if February is lower than January.
Well, that's a little bit like what happened last year too. So, it was because we had a big January.
Yeah, that's right.
The rates were lower, and then they went back up, and then the spring was much slower.
Right. And so we may very well see a lower February, in which case, so it kind of depends on if you're talking about year over year, right? Because we really haven't seen a huge correction. I will say, like, okay, what's the median sales price like right now? Because in
Just
July of
in general
2022.
Dallas area?
Yeah. July of 2022, the apex
Everything.
was like 409,000. Isn't that what we were just looking at? And now what are they? The median sales price.
Says for single family homes, residential 382, 745.
Okay, and now look
That's
at what was
December.
right. So what was it in like July of 2022? See if you can pull that up, because I was just studying that with the video.
July 2022
at the
was
very high.
395.
Okay.
But the very high though was June of 408.
Okay. So there's your answer. So in June, right before the rates started all going down, 408 was the median sales price. And now what did you say we're at? 382. So we've already gone from 409 to 382. Okay. So
408, yeah.
408, sorry, yeah. So I mean, like, I guess to the extent that the housing crashers are all over this one, right? 408 to 382. Okay. Yeah. So it's been kind of a gradual thing, but mostly it's kind of stable. And also, you got to take into consideration that June to December, right? So you've got to compare that. You got to take seasonality into effect. So will prices go down? Probably in January, February, and then they'll start to ease up again, which is what we see with seasonality anyway. Okay. So June 408, 2022 to December 2024, and we're down to 382. So seasonality definitely affects that. We want to compare June to June, December to December to really get more of an accurate reading. Okay. Is it a good time for cash buyers? Yes. But like I said, I think it's better for pre-owned than new construction.
Yeah.
Because new construction, they're hanging out. Like an individual seller doesn't really care that much about how appraised values hold up for the neighborhood, right? If they're motivated, they just want out, right? Whereas a builder has to weigh everything in calculation with a cash buyer, like, oh my gosh, this one sale, this appraised value on this one sale affects everything else. It affects every other house that's like it.
It affects what prices they can ask for homes later on. So yeah.
Exactly.
And if they have to lower base prices or not.
And so I think that cash is a lot more powerful on pre-owned homes. All right. Are you guys familiar with Rome, Texas? We want to stay local to Denton, but seeing a decent deal there. The problem, it's far out. Indeed it is.
It's far out. Yeah. Far out like woo, dude.
All right. So that was Jay. Christina says, I'm interested in Rome also. Okay. So is Rome up and coming? Dale's going to look up some stuff on Rome.
It's been kind of slow moving out in the Northwest up there, but I think I've heard that there's been some more stuff coming up there. Let me just look at just this.
All right. Well, he's looking that up. I'm going to read just a tiny bit more of our article here. Okay. Heading into the spring home buying season. Okay. We read that. The actions of the Fed, now this is very true, and we've talked about this a lot, don't always push mortgage rates in the expected direction. However, and the same holds true for the economy. Positive news might not lead to higher mortgage rates, okay? But given current conditions, a strong employment report isn't likely to help the rate situation, okay? And so that's Lawrence Yoon, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors. All right, more production and higher productivity can bring down inflation and interest rates. However, higher rates now are due to lingering inflation, which has not been fully contained, Yoon said. He believes inflation will be much calmer in the future, but until then, mortgage rates will stick near the current elevated rates. Okay, so even Yoon is saying he doesn't really see a whole lot of changes here. All right, let's see here now. Okay, another housing trend to watch. Okay, I found this very interesting. Okay, and you were just telling me something about AT&T in this regard. It says a strong labor market coupled, okay, with an increase in remote workers returning to the office in 2025 could impact housing trends in other ways. I mean, think about our excerpts. Think about Salina, how popular Salina is. Okay, said Lisa Sturdivant, chief economist at Bright MLS. With more employers calling workers back to the office full time, prospective home buyers are going to have different priorities. Sturdivant said, noting that a recent, okay, so this is a survey, and I like that. It's very interesting. A recent survey found the most important neighborhood consideration. Okay, the most important neighborhood consideration for would-be buyers in 2025 was commute time. Okay. That's huge. Okay. That really speaks how much the market has changed. Now, I will say though, that of all the buyers that we work with, They always submit a questionnaire, and then we have a Google Meet one. And I honestly, I'm still seeing, I would say at least half that say they work remote and that commute doesn't matter. So it's interesting. I mean, it's a really interesting article. It's not necessarily what I'm seeing, but I do think that, your really popular excerpts like, Salina's exploding in growth, but think about the commute time. You'd better hope that you just commute in Frisco and not all the way to downtown Dallas, or that's just not going to work for you. That's going to be ridiculously long. So if you're called back, and think about too, like this comes to mind, how many people suddenly have to sell if they're called back. Because didn't you say, what was that thing you said about AT&T? I think you said that
They said they're calling everybody back to the office. So
AT&T. Be interesting if anybody watching here, are you working with AT&T, and did that happen? I know that we've had at least one buyer who moved here to Dallas because AT&T made her go back to the office or made her transfer. So that's interesting. That makes me wonder, how's that going to impact the market if suddenly everybody has to go back to work? Oh, they live out an hour and a half away from where their office is, right? Suddenly you've got a lot of forced sellers. And what if they just bought? All right. So what did you have to tell us about Rome?
Rome's kind of interesting. I mean, the sales price has been going up out there since 2023. And what was interesting is that though in 2023, the number of homes for sale went way up, and now it's kind of flattened out and it's going down. Of course, it's seasonally, that makes sense in December, right. But generally since, I don't know, the beginning of, end of last year, end of 2023, beginning of 24, it's been flat and then starting to go down. They've seemed to have held. They seem to have held the price. Well, they're holding prices right now. The price per what they coming off of original prices. So since July. Yeah.
Shows right now, what is that? 91%.
Yeah.
So the median percent of original price of accepted is 91%. So sellers are coming down on price.
But the sales price.
But the sales price itself
kind of going
is up. So that's interesting. So maybe there's a lot of wishful sellers who are pricing higher but having to come down.
But the number of homes for sale is lower. So
yeah.
So I guess they're starting to go. I noticed because out that way west of 35 out there, and it's been kind of slow. There's a lot of open land out there, but I think they're starting to build a little bit more out there, and maybe some stuff building up out that way. So,
all right. Brianna Monet says, so should I not buy? I don't want to refinance. If you don't want to refinance, I would recommend going with like the forward commitment. Okay. Because with the forward commitment, what we're talking about here is what the home builders offer, where you can buy right now at 4%. Okay. That's what I would recommend, is to consider those new construction builders that are offering that forward commitment. And I've got some slides here to show you, to help you kind of understand the difference also between rate buy down and forward commitment. But that's what I would say. If you're like, I don't want to refinance, I would say consider the ones that are offering that 4%. Okay. But make sure it's not an adjustable, make sure it's fixed rate, so you don't have to, get stuck on that. Okay. Humpty Dumpty. Is it just me, or has there been a growing price gap between new and existing homes of similar size in the same area?
That depends. Some of the high demand areas have not seen that. I haven't really noticed.
I was talking to some new buyers yesterday, I think it was, and they were saying they've been looking a lot. They're researching a lot, and their observation has been that there's not that much of a price disparity. She's like, especially, and I think she made this comment, especially when you compare the rate incentives for monthly payment wise, your monthly payment ends up being lower with new construction if they're giving you like the forward commitment, and which, the forward commitment, guys, I don't know if I've fully explained that or if you guys know what that is, but it's basically when a new construction home builder offers a rate incentive that's way below the market, sometimes like 3 points below, 4%, and it's fixed rate. And it has nothing to do with the structure of your loan necessarily. Okay. And so there's a big difference there between a rate buy down. But with the forward commitment, if you don't want to refinance, for sure, And then in your question, Humpty Dumpty, I think, a lot of people are like, well, with the rate incentives, I can get brand new, so maybe there's a price difference. I think pre-owns are having,
I don't know,
a hard time.
I've seen a lot of pre-owned prices going up, but yeah.
Have you? High demand
crazy,
areas?
Yeah.
Yeah. And guys, that's the difference between he and I. I'm at home. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of studying, and I meet all of our new buyers on Google Meets. Like all day long, I'm meeting new buyers on Google Meets. And then he's out on the field. He's constantly out there with his feet on the ground, doing showings, meeting buyers in person, and just kind of in general, talking to the sales consultants a lot. Right. And so when he says, he's heard that listing agents. Yeah. So when he says that he's heard that prices are going up, that's why he knows that, because he's out there. And it matches well, because I actually kind of like being at home in my home office. And he actually really likes to get out there and just go, drive places and meet buyers, meet new people and stuff like that. So it's a good fit. But yeah, so he's going to know more so than me. I study it as a data perspective, and then he's actually like physically there. Let's see here now. On the fence about it, Christina, here we have Union Main Homes has a 3.5 for $375,000, the 3.5% interest rate. The home is nice. So I guess my question is is it fixed? I'm having a hard time for 3.5. If you mean that it's fixed or if it's a rate buy down. I always say if you can get the fixed. One thing I have noticed is they'll be like 3.99% first year, 4.99% fixed from there on. Okay, so
that's not bad.
That's great. I think that's great. I mean, I just definitely think the rate buy downs are so much more difficult to get anything with. Okay, what are your thoughts about building in Nevada? What are your thoughts about Nevada? There are no grocery stores there currently, but the tax rate is low and the ISD is good.
It depends on it's going to depend on what you want. I mean,
it's kind of funny because I was talking with buyers and they were like, Wendy, if it doesn't have a grocery store, I'm not moving there. They're like, I don't want to have to get on a 2-lane road and drive, 10 to 15 minutes to the grocery store. I hear that. I hear that a lot. Like they,
more of that,
they don't want to have to drive to Chick-fil-A, right? They want we're in this big Metroplex. They want Metroplex convenience, so willing to consider the excerpt. So, Veronica, what I would do is I would do some research on the future predictions of Nevada. Okay. So what I'm talking about is like job growth, future highways that will go in there. How friendly is the city council to new construction? So if you can get in when it's new and prices are going to be a little bit lower and it's going to grow, that's a good opportunity. But I would do some research on how, okay, think about Salina, however many years ago, city council really wanted it to grow and it's really growing. So I would do some research there.
40 something active sales up there. They have prices from all over too, from 200,000 to 1.5 million, or actually 2.5 million.
Wow.
So a lot of different stuff.
If you do a market analysis, how are things holding? What's the demand like? All right. Well, he's looking that up. This might be a long shot, but that's interesting. That's a very interesting question. Could the California fires affect inventory in the near future?
Because more people moving out.
That's a great question.
It might make more people, because I know a lot of people are upset with the government out there. So
that is a really good question.
Government.
Because those people have to, like the one tenant we have had in one of our rentals since 2005, and they've never moved out. They came after Hurricane Katrina. Okay. And so people do move based when there's like these disasters. That is really a brilliant thought.
They're hanging on at 97%.
Oh, in Nevada?
Yeah.
Okay. So
the sales price, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
If I look this way, 97%.
Okay. So Jay says it's fixed. That's a good interest rate. One thing I always say, okay, is if everything lines up, then it's a good deal. To me, forward commitments are a no-brainer if it's right for you, right? If it's the right location, if it's the right price, if it's the right kind of house. Market value is huge, because if they've jacked up the price to give you a forward commitment, then it's not a good deal. You don't want to buy it and be upside down. Okay, so that's a really big thing there, is what is this house worth? And even if you know it's a strong comparative market analysis says it's at least market value, forward commitments are excellent. They really are. But again, just make sure you know what that market value is. I'm really big on that because if they've jacked the price up, it's not worth being upside down.
Talk to your agent.
Yeah, talk to your agent. If you don't have one, talk to us. Okay. I say talk to us. I use that loosely because in order to reach us, you have to fill out a Let's Find Home questionnaire. That's the way we communicate. And the reason is that I want to meet all the buyers first. I really like to meet them, and I do that through the Google Meet. And so we just kind of found that works best. All right, let's see what is our next one. Okay. Thank you both. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. All right. Which Dallas suburbs would be good for investors? That's an excellent question. I think that a lot depends on your buying power, your capitalization. Okay. I think that in general,
price, and price range you want to go for. Yeah.
Your price range. Yes. To the extent we have all these new construction builders offering these great rate incentives, they're going to give those to investors. Right. And so like we personally stopped working with investors because I found that it just doesn't cash flow. This market is not good for cash flow when you're leveraged. And then add to that the fact that you have all these HOAs if you go with new construction at all. So that's a good question. Which Dallas suburbs would be good for investors?
If you're good with fixer-uppers and stuff like that, there's lots of places you can look for that. And that's becoming a big market again. I'm seeing it a lot more, like especially with buyers looking at 2 or 3K loans and
that's a good
things
point.
like that. But yeah, I'm seeing areas that were older homes, kind of rundown homes that are being bought by investors and fixed up and made pretty nice, actually. So they're making some of the communities nicer. So those are lower price stuff, definitely under 400,000. Maybe some of them under 300,000. Well, actually, they fix them up and then they sell them, for over 300 and 400, sometimes over 500,000. But yeah,
that's a market research thing. It's you want to compare the your average sales price, your median sales price compared to what are homes leasing for, right? And whether an HOA is involved. So much to me depends on cash flow. Because if I'm going to invest in a rental, I want cash. Okay, I'm not going to invest just for long term. I want cash out of it.
Kind of investment
now, back in the day, how many years ago, we bought a lot of rentals, and we invested mostly on the southern side of town. So anywhere from like Arlington, Grand Prairie. We did DeSoto, we did Lancaster. Okay, so we did kind of that. Yeah, the Great Southwest. And we were able to get good cash flowing instruments. We bought distressed houses and we fixed them up and then we moved them to permanent financing. So we would use basically like a construction rehab loan, hard money. And then once we had them fixed up, then we would refinance to perm. So for us, the Great Southwest was great, but
it 350 new construction.
Oh, okay. Then that changes things. For one thing, I would look for a low priced HOA. Because
Southeast.
Yeah.
Maybe Southwest.
Yeah. I mean, places like West Fort Worth and Crowley. Crowley's got some great opportunities and you've got some nice retail development there. We've sold a couple in Crowley and I just think Crowley's a neat area. So that's something I would consider. I would watch for the lowest serviced and least expensive HOA because with new construction, you're going to have an HOA unless you buy like in Ferris. Okay. Ferris has got some new construction that doesn't have HOAs, but it's few and far between. All right. What do you think about Normandy neighborhood? Well, Normandy's not a neighborhood, it's a builder. Oh, the neighborhood is Hazelwood and Frisco next to the PGA and south of 380. Is location good?
I know. Yeah. Definitely you're going to get, prices are definitely going to go up there because there's still more stuff coming there. And Normandy is a great builder, owned by a really good company, Green Brick, which they own 4 or 5 different builders, and plus they're also a developer as well. They do a really good job.
Tell them
usually
about
you're in higher end communities, and that area right there in that part of Northwest Frisco right there is growing, and there's the field that's the fields, the community there that has, multi-million-dollar homes that are going in.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2026, they'll have what they call Field West come up, and that's going to be a whole entertainment and shopping and retail area that's going to be built, and that will be right there all by the PGA and everything. It's going to
tell them your observations about the Normandy walkthrough. We have a Normandy home that's getting ready to close. Tell them, because it was really neat hearing from you what you thought of Normandy.
Where I usually see, if I'm looking at new construction and I get to walk through at the framing stage on a home, that's when I can tell a lot about the quality of the home and stuff. And their home is so solid. Normandy home is very solid. And it was completely sealed. You could tell very well. There was no way you're seeing through anywhere in it. And it was just very good quality home. And the building manager there was excellent quality. He was very detailed.
Was that?
That's in Cross Creek
Meadows. Okay, yeah,
Salina.
Yeah.
So, yep.
He came home, guys, and he was a lot more excited about that. He was just like, I did it, and you're not going to believe that this was so tight, because you do see it at the framing stage. You can really tell, where light is getting in and whatnot. And he was just like, this was so. That being said, Normandy has quit using structural sheathing. And so that's a little disappointing. I spoke to a sales consultant, and they said that they were, they'd gone to a more non-structural product. So I was kind of bummed about that. I liked that they were using it. They were one of the few. Okay. Thank you. I learned a lot from your videos. Well, you are welcome. You're very welcome. I'm glad that they're helpful. I love to teach. I love to research, and then I love to communicate it. And I really have this desire to raise the bar in how realtors work with their buyers.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much. Oh goodness. We had a now client in a recent couple months ago where she'd been working with a different realtor who slipped a buyer representation in between an offer, and said that she had to sign it in order to submit an offer. And so that's that kind of laziness. And I've heard of this happening many, many times. It's just kind of a laziness of, wanting to do the minimum. And so that's partly why I talk about what I do. I'm like, raise your standards, raise your expectations, be educated so you can advocate for yourself also.
And we want to help. We want to help educate you. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I want to show you guys a couple more things. Okay. Let's talk about rate buy downs. All right. When you are looking at a rate buy down, okay, there's two questions you want to ask here. Okay. The first one is, what interest rate are you quoting me, and how much are you charging me for that interest rate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, where's their starting rate and what are they going down to?
Yeah. What are you charging me? How much is it going to cost? Okay. So when you're talking about trying to figure out a rate buy down is going to be way closer to market rate. Okay. When it's a rate buy down, a true rate buy down, you're going to get maybe in the 6s. Okay. Versus a forward commitment. And that's where you can get down to the 4s. Okay. So when you're talking about a rate buy down, okay. And I want to show you this just really quickly. Here you see an interest rate of 6.25%. Okay. How much is that? That's the interest rate. How much is it going to cost me? $1,640. Okay. So that's the question. So we were comparing with this. Okay. Here's the other one. What is the interest rate? 6.25%. How much is that rate going to cost me? So in this case, it was $1,125.
Those are both low.
Mm-hmm.
More.
Okay. Now this is one, I think this one's very interesting because it shows you those first two were for the same loan, and this was from the builder's lender. Okay. And so it's very interesting how they appeared to give you a lot of information, but again, remember the others were 6.25%. Okay. So this one is saying 6.49%, same time, same exact time. So we're not talking about rates fluctuating. It's all at the same time. So they're doing a 6.49%, but it's going to cost them $13,000.
Well, that makes more sense at $13,000 than the other ones.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, and this was about a month or so ago.
Okay.
So it wasn't today,
okay.
But what I want to show you here, is that down here you have lender credits. Okay. And so this is often what you'll see is that you'll see the builder saying, if you use our lender, we'll give you $10,000 towards your closing costs. Super important, especially if you're considering, rate buy down is how much you're going to charge me. Again, what interest rate are you quoting me? And you can see right here that this is 6.49%. and how much are you charging me, right? And so if we looked at the others, okay, it was 6.25, 1125. And now we've got 6.49 for 13,000. Okay, here's their second option, 6.624, 11,644. Okay, 6.8. So do you see the trend here that they're making you think that you have all kinds of choices? Okay. But in truth, with all of those 4 different choices, you might think, well, I need to pick the best one here. Don't do it. Go get another loan estimate, get a third party. We recommend like 3 if you can. Ours is excellent, but we still recommend getting a couple. Okay. Now let me show you something else here. So the forward commitment, how is it different? Okay. Here's where the forward commitment is different. You can see right here, it says fixed rate. Okay. At 4.5%. So with a forward commitment, and that's what you want to ask for. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that phrase forward commitment, and sometimes they'll call it something different, but basically that's your gold mine. If they just tell you they'll give you cash towards a rate buy down, that's nice. They're not going to get you down below more than the 6s. Okay. Because there's limitations.
A forward commitment means that the builder paid a few $1,000,000 to the lender to cover a lower rate for so many homes. Right. And it was paid in advance, and it will only last as long as, depending on how many homes sell and use that rate buy. And it's still a rate buy down per se, but it was purchased ahead of time.
So your cue here is seeing that this is fixed rate and that it's way below. Yeah. So anytime you see something that's ridiculously below, then you know they're spending a lot more money to get it down that low. Here's another example, and I think this is a good one because they're calling it a buy down, but it's not really a buy down. Okay, because it says year 1 of a 30-year mortgage rate, okay, is a 3.99% and then 4.99% for the remainder of your mortgage. So the fact that it's fixed, okay, and the fact that it's that much lower. So even though they use the phrase buy down, just keep in mind that if it's a rate buy down, it's not going to be that exciting. Okay. It's going to be more like in the 6s. They can't pay it down that much. Forward commitments are definitely a way to jump in. Again, only if the market value is there. Don't overpay for them. Okay. One last comment, and then I think we're probably going to go. My realtor works for a big broker. Is it normal for them not to allow their real estate agents to give cash back and just a $50 gift card for new construction?
So if it's so the $50 gift card is probably, that's not part of the contract or the representation. And you're, as a real estate agent, your realtor or a real estate agent, you're only limited to $50 gift. Well,
not to your own client though. I mean, but that's the only part that's a tax deduction.
Well, that's okay. That's
what you're thinking. Yeah, as a tax deduction, that's the only part you can deduct.
The other part is they just may have a policy that they're not giving any part of their commission away. So
I would say that that's more their policy, because a client and a realtor can give to their client.
It's all negotiable.
It really is. For them not to allow their real estate agents, and is it and I don't know this for sure, but I just wonder if that's the easy answer for the realtor, maybe, to blame it on the broker. I don't know. Because there are plenty of realtors who split their commissions with their clients. So it's definitely out there. And it depends on the level of services. Like, we don't do that because we provide such high level of services that it just doesn't make sense for us to do that. All right, guys. Well, I think that is it for the night. The master here is going to go make some dinner. He doesn't know what yet. Did I ever tell you guys that? I do zero cooking in this house. It's great. He does all the cooking.
You did the other night.
I did. That is true. That is true. Okay, I did. It's very rare. And he also does all the laundry. So I'm just telling you, I have a keeper?
Of that the other night too.
I did not do the laundry. Don't give me a bad reputation about this. I don't do the laundry. He does laundry. He does the cooking. So I have it great here. Anyway, well, guys, it has been a pleasure. I would love that so many of you jumped in with comments today. That is awesome. Love that. If you're watching, if you're watching my other videos and you have questions about those, feel free to jump on here on these live streams as well. And you can put your questions out here as well, and that way it's more than just me writing one sentence. We can actually dialogue.
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to let you go now. We're going to go get some dinner, and I hope you guys all have a great evening.
See you later.
All right. Bye.